Yo, yo, yo. Check it out, everybody. This is your boy, Mc The HipHoptimist, your main man. And you see I got the light bulb real quickly. And I'm adding the center line and all the legs and arms. And this character right here is actually Groo. I've never drawn this dude. It's sort of a cartoony cartoony looking character that's a barbarian or something. I really don't know that much about him. This is a commission for Matt, as a matter of fact. And so I am putting and drawing this character in my style, which is American comic style. And I'm saying, okay, let me adjust that elbow, get my perspective right. I'm changing the angle of the sword because he has like two samurai swords that he carries, but he's like a barbarian or something. I really don't know anything about this character. So I'm looking, and as a matter of fact, my reference for this particular drawing is a cover of Groo, which has a dragon in the background looking at him as he tries to cut the tail of the dragon, because to him it looks like a snake. So I said, in this commission I'm supposed to draw Groo and I'm supposed to draw Godzilla. And when I found that cover, I said that will work. I will make the dragon Godzilla, and I will make Groo attempting to cut off the tail of Godzilla, thinking it's a snake. And so what I also said to myself was, I have Godzilla thinking, who is that? Is that Groo? So anyway, and I guess I'm pronouncing his name right. It's Groo. So once again, I know totally nothing about this character. So putting in all of the details now that I've erased, and I'm coming back in, making sure the sword is in one place, and set a strange angle because actually one of the hands is in a place where you can't even see it. So I'm like, should I change it? Nah, I like what it is. I like what's going on, and I think you can see what's going on without me having to show both of the hands. That's one thing about drawing. When you draw through something, you got to recognize that what you know and what you show as an artist sometimes is different, because you know there's two hands on the sword, but I can only show one because the other one is behind. Oh, excuse me. Man, get choked up. Anyway, I'm tightening that hand up, making sure I'm getting that. I'm thinking about that whole situation I just said. Should I change the arm? Should I not? This is the proper angle, actually. I'm actually stretching the arm, making it a little longer. Thinking, okay, since this is a barbarian type character, I know he will be showing his muscles. So, and I decided to move that back leg. And once again, I am going with the pose that is already on the cover of a comic, thickening him up. I was like, he's a little bony to be a barbarian. He needs a little more girth to him. So I thicken up both of those arms, still trying to negotiate that angle. Now I'm putting in the features of the face. thinking about how I'm gonna do background. I'm like, okay, divide the background in planes. That way, I'm able to show distance a little better. Have a tree in the foreground that's real big, and the tree in the background is real small, so that I can kind of establish scale by doing that. Now, drew the part of the tail that looks like a snake. Now, I'm looking at the part of the body of Godzilla. His back will be turned. So I'm thinking, okay, how will his legs be positioned? I'm moving the tree closer to the edge of the paper so it will be evident where his body is. Establishing where the other hand will go on Godzilla. So now I have the front character and the back character. I'm doing a lot of thinking. Okay, big grass in the front, little small grass in the back. Grass gets smaller as it goes back. A couple of bushes. Have some layering. That way I can establish some type of depth with overlapping. This is my first time drawing Godzilla, so I'm looking at reference. Looking at a comic book over to the side to see how is Godzilla's face. I've never drawn him. It almost looked like some of these artists drew sort of like a cat-like face, almost. Versus maybe a reptilian / cat. So I'm getting my bulk of the face, trying to see where them jaws at and where exactly is the nose and all of that stuff. Trying to clear all that up. Now I do recognize that I did draw his arms kind of Herculean. But I was like, he's a little different than a normal dinosaur. One, he's a dragon, and that way he got big arms. He doesn't have little dinosaur arms. He has some big humanoid arms because he's a mutation. I'm attempting to establish some of the texture that will happen. Position the arms how I want them. And even now I was thinking, if I were to color this, then I could really put some atmospheric colors in the background so that you would know you would know that he was in the background. Man, I had a little coughing spell. Sorry about that. I'll try to take that out. Woo! Making sure those swords are curved. I'm dressing them up. He has a huge nose. So I'm having some liberties with his face since he is a cartoon. Big jaw, wild hair, headband. Not quite knowing what to do with the face. It's working with this, man. Working with you, Groo. Has a little pouch, I see. He's barefoot. So I won't have to worry about any boots. But aren't feet the hardest things to draw? Feet and hands? Hey, I'm just drawing, man. You just draw what's there. Godzilla has some hands too. Right? So I gotta draw those hands. Those claws. And he's turning his back. And once again, I want him to be thinking, is that Groo? So I think I pretty much have what I need now pencil-wise. It's time for me to start inking. So I'm going to ink the face and huge nose, the mouth there. I squared off his face a little bit. There's a headband. That headband in there. Now I'm working on the hair. His hair is real stringy and straight. I'll work with it. And now I'm putting in my outline. That way I know where everything is. I forgot his wristband actually. His bracelet, so had to put that in. Kind of going back and forth with the details. I decided to make the bottom of his gear ripped up. Kind of a weird angle for a foot, but he has it up in the air, so. I put on some sense of underwear of something. He didn't have any, so I had to do something, right? As I said, big grass. Getting his toes together as they touch that ground in the foreground. So he has one sword in his hand and he has another sword that is still positioned at his side. But anyway, I'm just drawing the lines, drawing little places for the muscles. I want to develop a style where I actually end with the line work. And all artists, I see all artists going through this. I see David Finch having the line work, and sometimes I'm like, he could just stop with the line work. I see Jim Lee say the same thing. He could just stop with the line work. Put the tree in. As I'm looking back at it, I'm seeing things I maybe would have changed. That is the snake right there, as Groo think it is. But it's in actuality the end of the tail of Godzilla. So again, I got the tree in the background, and that's to suggest that Godzilla is really, really, real big, and what you're seeing is close to that other tree, and hopefully psychologically you'll think to yourself, man, if these trees are similar or the same size, then Godzilla must be huge. That's why I got him there. That's why I put him like that. So now I'm outlining the claws of Godzilla. I think that'll work. Again, I'm working with the overlap, making sure that that foot is overlapped by the tree. Now it's time for me to start shading. I actually think my phone went out, so that's why I only had what I had. Putting in the shading now. This is where you go beyond the line and try to establish some width. And depending on your style, you can stop right at the line, as I mentioned. Or you can continue on and shade like I'm shading. Or your favorite cartoonists, however they shade. All right, I'm looking at everything. I think everything is cool. Now I'm doing some rendering and feathering and all that type of stuff. Figuring out where I'm gonna put what. I always appreciate how the shading can gray out and vary some places. And so that's what I'm attempting to do. Round this body up. I could have just as easily put all this in black, but I didn't. I don't regret not doing it. It's just my style. And my art professor in college would always say, the difference between one artist and the next is how they see light. So as I am doing these shadows, it's based on my interpretation of where the plane ends and starts. All right. Figuring out what I'm going to do with this torso. My little shaded anatomy right there. How do you know where to draw the muscles, Mr. Mac? Question I would get all the time. I will watch muscle books, but I will also say what Dave Finch always talks about, which is I would look at other comic book artists. So what I've recognized is that I have a very stylized anatomy based on my favorite comic artists, and some things I have changed based on my knowledge of real anatomy. So some of it is very much stylized in order to give me a type of effect that I'm looking for. And part of it is that is how things are. I know I have changed knees. The way I interpret knees have really changed. The way that I interpret the side muscles by the ribs have changed. I kind of keep that Jim Lee, John Byrne chest and abdominal. I'm still attached to that look. But some of the other things, the way I connect the arm into the torso, I look at and reference in my mind those muscle books. Yeah, so I am an amalgam of realistic, scholarship, figure drawing art student and stylized, adopted for speed comic book artists, all mixed in one. I was looking at some stuff on Jack Kirby, and they were talking about, how his style was built for speed in a lot of ways. And at the end of the day, I really can appreciate that. And I really appreciate Jack Kirby now. When I first started drawing comics specifically, I could not get into his style, his anatomy. I thought it was too boxy. And I go back and look at not only him, but a lot of older comic book artists who added so much to the game. I just did not recognize or appreciate what they were doing a lot of times. But now that I have drawn a comic book or two, I recognize how much power they had in their art. I recognized how they added buildings and backgrounds and did things. Like, I may not be impressed with their anatomy, but their backgrounds were ridiculous. Like, man. And then appreciate and put a hands down to the fact that they could do it with speed as well. That was another consideration for me. As you can see, I put some thought bubbles. Put the snake thought bubble for Groo, and then put the Groo thought bubble for Godzilla. Yeah, man. Again, have that tree overlap that foot. Give the illusion like, hey, that foot is way back there. Yeah, the back of that thigh, Godzilla, pushing it back. And the calf right there. So I'm thinking, is it time for the magic? Oh, yes, time for the calligraphy contour. And I honestly believe this gives it magic, separates things out, defines contour in a way like nothing else. A varied outline. That's what this is. Good for separating out one part with another. I was showing somebody. I was actually drawing this during Capal's anniversary. And so what happened was I had mentioned that I wanted to do some drawing, and the owner said, oh man, you can draw anytime. Just tell me when. You know, we're having our anniversary. I said, oh, okay. And so I was outside. I showed up. When I went inside, he said, yeah, I put your name on YouTube saying that you were going to be drawing. I was like, cool. Let's do it then. So I was definitely locked in at that point and happy to be. Just outlining some of these major parts. That way people can understand what is what. Yeah, that's cool right there. Like I said, I made his arm big. The good thing is it's the arm closest to us. Snake. And it varies in length, thin, thick, thin, thick. Oh, my computer is about to go out, but no, can't do it, man. I don't think it's a bad first Godzilla. I think it's a pretty cool one. Got that claw in the background. I like that. Little details. I guess not. That's not just details. Those are eyeballs. Sometimes you forget the eyeballs. You just never know. Put a little shading in. Oops. I almost forgot the hand. Wanted to be careful with it because I knew a lot going on up under there. I'm looking at it. I think it looks pretty good. And is it time to sign? Think it is. All right, Groo, Godzilla, Matt, it's for you, baby. Like, subscribe, follow, friend, connect, kick it with me. Most of all, get Mctivated. You want a commission done, hit me up.
Leron McAdoo found joy in drawing superheroes, but he was an illiterate third grader. So suddenly his mother said she would not buy another comic book until he could read them. McAdoo rose above being afraid of words to getting paid for words. Now he uses words to get people Mctivated about their own superpower. He drew strength from drawing. This is Comicbook Bold. To see his comic commissions and comic art, go to Pinterest.com at that hip hop and select Leron McAdoo art.